We did have one other card turned in favor who wanted to speak. And I have to admit, we couldn't read your writing. It looked like a signature. Please identify yourself.
Okay. How are you doing, sir? Nice to meet you. Richard Mahoney.
Oh, that's easy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I handed one for each of you just for a glance. We've been involved with exposing the abortion cartels, egregious medical malpractice, and child molestation cover-up for the last 40 years. This is all documented fact. I could have printed you out hundreds of pages, but I've learned from the past that you don't print out anything, it usually just ends up in the garbage. So I'm just giving you a brief summary of what's going on right now. We know for a fact that the state has destroyed records that made complicit the abortion cartel with covering up for sex trafficking, for covering up for egregious medical malpractice. We had Representative Charles Bustani of Congress, who I worked with at Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital for many years, look at it and he couldn't believe it. He ordered a congressional probe, which eventually was squished in committee because of the fact that they said, well, this would involve the government's complicity, and they didn't really want it to go. But Representative Fred Upton, did ask Louisiana for those records and explanation of what was going on. The state of Louisiana never replied. A year ago, I testified at Senator Milkovich's bill, and they said they were going to do a legislative audit of these crimes and the sex trafficking cover-up. Right now, I met with Secretary Ardwin, and he's getting with the Attorney General, and we're going to go over what records were destroyed, why they were destroyed, why evidence to sex trafficking was destroyed, and why the abortion cartel for 38 years would not put the age of the father of the minor who was sent to the abortion clinic for an abortion. And that is basically crime, because if a minor goes into an abortion clinic, they're either pregnant by rape, statutory rape, or carnal knowledge, all which are crimes. And we've had this history, and this is documented fact. This law is necessary. We need to know the truth. The truth has been suppressed, covered up. And it has basically been covered up because people said, well, that's privacy. No, this is not privacy, this is crime. And as you see here, this all explains it. It's coming out. This year it will come out. No longer will Louisiana or the abortion cartel be able to hide. The doctors who have done these crimes will be exposed. The abortion clinics who have done these crimes will be exposed. And any state and governmental complicity with the cover-up of these crimes will be exposed. So we need these laws. We need to know who is doing abortions on minors. We need to know who's doing abortions and what's going on in these clinics and why, for so many years, falsified reports. Dorsey Bryant did abortions for 50 years on Acadian. He didn't even report them. He did thousands of abortions on minors, didn't even report them. And he was closed down not by the state going in, because we exposed him. We had to actually go in and show that he was doing these things, and they told him to cease and desist. Now, we have nearly 30 doctors in this state, which will be shown in court record, who have done abortions. Now, what happened at these clinics? The state knows what happened, and that's why this law is being passed, because crime has been committed for a whole generation. And this law is definitely necessary to find out who's doing these crimes, who's doing these abortions, and what minors are being affected.
We have a question from Representative Cox.
You're saying there's records of this?
Yes, and actually we turned in records. For many years, the abortionists threw out records, HIPAA violations, in the public sidewalk. And we turned these over to the state. The state was horrified, but they didn't do anything about it. And then we sued the Department of Health and Hospitals to make this public. They said they were exempt from making this public. No, this has to do with sex trafficking. This has to do with egregious medical malpractice. And we are going to see this to the end, and we're going to expose what happened in the state of Louisiana, and we're going to expose what the abortionists did in falsifying records and hiding their crimes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, we have Three other cards in support but not wishing to speak. Tricia Parsons for self, Nate Moore with Louisiana Family Forum, and Diane Poirier with Avoyles Right to Life. We do have some people present liking to speak that are in opposition, so let's let them come to the table.